Job 25. Bildad says mankind is inferior. Then Bildad the Shuhite responded, dominion and awe belong to him who makes peace in his heights. Is there any number to his troops? And upon whom does his light not rise? How then can mankind be righteous with God? Or how can anyone who is born of woman be pure? If even the moon has no brightness and the stars are not pure in his sight, how much less man, that maggot, and a son of man, that worm? Job 26. Job rebukes Bildad. Then Job responded, what a help you are to the weak! You have saved the arm without strength. What advice you have given to one without wisdom! What helpful insight you have abundantly provided! To whom have you uttered words? And whose spirit was expressed through you? The greatness of God. The departed spirits are made to tremble under the waters and their inhabitants. Sheol is naked before him, and Abaddon has no covering. He stretches out the north over empty space, and hangs the earth on nothing. He wraps up the waters in his clouds, and the cloud does not burst under them. He obscures the face of the full moon and spreads his cloud over it. He has inscribed a circle on the surface of the waters at the boundary of light and darkness. The pillars of heaven tremble and are amazed at his rebuke. With his power he quieted the sea, and by his understanding he shattered Rahab. By his breath the heavens are cleared. His hand has pierced the fleeing serpent. Behold, these are the fringes of his ways, and how faint a word we hear of him. But his mighty thunder, who can understand? Job 27. Job affirms his righteousness. Job again took up his discourse and said, as God lives, who has taken away my right, and the Almighty, who has embittered my soul, for as long as life is in me, and the breath of God is in my nostrils, my lips certainly will not speak unjustly, nor will my tongue mutter deceit. Far be it from me that I should declare you right. Until I die, I will not give up my integrity. I have kept hold of my righteousness and will not let it go. My heart does not rebuke any of my days. The state of the godless. May my enemy be as the wicked, and my opponent as the criminal. For what is the hope of the godless when he makes an end of life, when God requires his life? Will God hear his cry when distress comes upon him? Or will he take pleasure in the Almighty? Will he call on God at all times? I will instruct you in the power of God. What is with the Almighty I will not conceal. Behold, all of you have seen it. Why then do you talk of nothing? This is the portion of a wicked person from God, and the inheritance which tyrants receive from the Almighty. Though his sons are many, they are destined for the sword, and his descendants will not be satisfied with bread. His survivors will be buried because of the plague, and their widows will not be able to weep. Though he piles up silver like dust and prepares garments as plentiful as the clay, he may prepare it, but the righteous will wear it and the innocent will divide the silver. He has built his house like the spider's web, or a hut which the watchman has made. He lies down rich but never again. He opens his eyes and it no longer exists. Terrors overtake him like a flood. A storm steals him away in the night. The east wind carries him away and he is gone. For it sweeps him away from his place. For it will hurl at him without mercy. He will certainly try to flee from its power. People will clap their hands at him, and will whistle at him from their places. Job 28. Job tells of earth's treasures. Certainly there is a mine for silver and a place for refining gold. Iron is taken from the dust, and copper is smelted from rock. Man puts an end to darkness, and to the farthest limit he searches out the rock in gloom and deep shadow. He sinks a shaft away from inhabited areas, forgotten by the foot. They hang and swing away from people. From the earth comes food and underneath it is turned over like fire. Its rocks are the source of sapphires, and its dust contains gold. No bird of prey knows the path, nor has the falcon's eye caught sight of it. The proud animals have not trodden it, nor has the lion passed over it. He puts his hand on the flint. He overturns the mountains at the base. He carves out channels through the rocks, and his eye sees anything precious. He dams up the streams from flowing, and brings to light what is hidden. The search for wisdom is harder, but where can wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Mankind does not know its value, nor is it found in the land of the living. The ocean depth says, "It is not in me," and the sea says, "It is not with me." Pure gold cannot be given in exchange for it, nor can silver be weighed as its price. It cannot be valued in the gold of Ophir, in precious onyx or sapphire. Gold or glass cannot equal it, nor can it be exchanged for articles of pure gold. Coral and crystal are not to be mentioned, and the acquisition of wisdom is more valuable than pearls. The topaz of Cush cannot equal it, nor can it be valued in pure gold. Where then does wisdom come from? And where is this place of understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of every living creature, and concealed from the birds of the sky. Abaddon and Death say, "With our ears we have heard a report of it." God understands its way, and he knows its place. For he looks to the ends of the earth. He sees everything under the heavens. When he imparted weight to the wind and assessed the waters by measure, when he made a limit for the rain, and a course for the thunderbolt, then he saw it and declared it. He established it and also searched it out. And to mankind he said, "Behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to turn away from evil is understanding." Job 29. Job's past was glorious. Job again took up his discourse and said, "Oh, that I were as in months gone by, as in the days when God watched over me, when his lamp shone over my head, and by his light I walked through darkness, just as I was in the days of my youth, when the protection of God was over my tent, when the Almighty was still with me and my children were around me, when my steps were bathed in cream, and the rock poured out streams of oil for me. When I went out to the gate of the city, when I took my seat in the public square, the young men saw me and hid themselves, and the old men arose and stood. The leaders stopped talking and put their hands on their mouths. The voices of the prominent people were hushed, and their tongues stuck to their palates. For when an ear heard, it called me blessed, and when an eye saw, it testified in support of me, because I saved the poor who cried for help, and the orphan who had no helper. The blessing of the one who was about to perish came upon me, and I made the widow's heart sing for joy. I put on righteousness and it clothed me. My justice was like a robe and a headband. I was eyes to those who were blind, and feet to those who could not walk. I was a father to the poor, and I investigated the case which I did not know. I broke the jaws of the wicked and rescued the prey from his teeth. Then I thought, I will die with my family, and I will multiply my days as the sand. My root is spread out to the waters, and dew lies on my branch all night. My glory is ever new with me, and my bow is renewed in my hand. To me they listened and waited, and they kept silent for my advice. After my words they did not speak again, and my speech dropped on them. They waited for me as for the rain, and opened their mouths as for the late rain. I smiled at them when they did not believe, and they did not look at my kindness ungraciously. I chose a way for them and sat as chief, and lived as a king among the troops, as one who comforted the mourners. Job 30. Job's present state is humiliating, but now those who are younger than I mock me, whose fathers I refused to put with the dogs of my flock. Indeed, what good was the strength of their hands to me? Vigor had perished from them. From poverty and famine they are gaunt, they who gnaw at the dry ground by night in waste and desolation, who pluck saltweed by the bushes, and whose food is the root of the broom shrub. They are driven from the community, they shout against them as against a thief, so that they live on the slopes of ravines, in holes in the ground and among the rocks. Among the bushes they cry out, under the weeds they are gathered together. Worthless fellows, even those without a name, they were cast out from the land. And now I have become their taunt, and I have become a byword to them. They loathe me and stand aloof from me. And they do not refrain from spitting in my face. Because he has undone my bowstring and afflicted me, they have cast off the bridle before me. On the right hand their mob arises, they push aside my feet and pile up their ways of destruction against me. They break up my path. They promote my destruction. no one restrains them. As through a wide gap they come, amid the storm they roll on. Sudden terrors are turned upon me, they chase away my dignity like the wind, and my prosperity has passed away like a cloud. And now my soul is poured out within me, days of misery have seized me. At night it pierces my bones within me, and my gnawing pains do not rest. By a great force my garment is distorted, it ties me up like the collar of my coat. He has thrown me into the mire, and I have become like dust and ashes. I cry out to you for help, but you do not answer me. I stand up, and you turn your attention against me. You have become cruel to me. With the strength of your hand you persecute me. You lift me up to the wind and make me ride it, and you dissolve me in a storm. For I know that you will bring me to death, and to the house of meeting for all living. Yet does one in a heap of ruins not reach out with his hand? Or in his disaster does he not cry out for help? Have I not wept for the one whose life is hard? Was my soul not grieved for the needy? When I expected good, evil came. When I waited for light, darkness came. I am seething within and cannot rest. Days of misery confront me. I go about mourning without comfort. I stand up in the assembly and cry out for help. I have become a brother to jackals, and a companion of ostriches. My skin turns black on me, and my bones burn with fever. Therefore my harp is turned to mourning, and my flute to the sound of those who weep.